A bird is sitting on the wire outside your house right now that can see something you cannot. Not with better eyes, not with some sharper version of the senses you already have. It is perceiving a force that is moving through your body at this exact moment, through your walls, through your car, through the ground beneath your feet, and you will never feel a trace of it as long as you live. Most people assume birds find their way south for the winter, the way we would find our way to a friend's house. They remember the route, they recognize landmarks, they have flown it before, and they are just retracing old ground. That is true for some of it, but the reality is far stranger, far more alien, and far more physically impossible sounding than landmark memory could ever explain. Because the birds in your yard are not just looking at the world, they are reading it using a sense humans were never given, and there is a real chance, according to some researchers who study this, that our own ancestors might once have carried a faint trace of it. Welcome back to the hidden mind of birds. But at the end of this, you're going to understand how a creature with a brain smaller than your thumbnail can cross an ocean in total darkness and land in the same backyard tree it left 8 months earlier. Stay until the end, because the final piece of this mystery, the question of where in the bird's body this remarkable sense actually lives, is still being debated by scientists today. And what researchers have found inside a bird's eye in studies published within the last few years may be one of the strangest discoveries in all of biology. Start with the obvious question. How does a bird that has never made a migration before know where to go? A first-year garden warbler, raised in a nest in your hedge, has never flown to Africa. It has no memory of the route because it has no route to remember. And yet, when autumn arrives, it lifts off alone, at night, and flies in a precise direction for thousands of miles, correcting its course as it goes, until it arrives somewhere it has never physically been. Researchers at the University of Oldenburg in Germany have spent decades trying to understand exactly how this works, and what they found points to something most people have never been taught in school. Birds can detect Earth's magnetic field directly, not metaphorically, not approximately. They sense it, the way you sense light or sound, as a real input arriving from outside their body. Stay with me here, because this is the part that is worth sitting with for a second. Earth's magnetic field is generated deep in the planet's molten core, and it stretches out into space in lines that run roughly from the South Pole to the North Pole. It is weak. It is invisible. It does nothing to your compass app unless you specifically open it. And birds are built to feel it the way you feel a hand on your shoulder. This sense has a name. Scientists call it magnetoreception, and the unpacking of that word is simpler than it sounds. Magneto, for magnetic field, reception, for the act of receiving it, as sensory information. It is not guesswork. It is not instinct in the vague sense people usually mean when they say the word. It is an actual sensory channel running into the bird's nervous system, alongside sight and hearing and touch, that most humans go their entire lives never imagining exists. What this means for the bird on your wire is this. It is not simply flying toward a place. It is flying along a field, the way you might run your hand along a length of rope in the dark to find your way down a hallway. The field has a direction. It has an angle relative to the ground that changes depending on how far north or south you are. And birds appear to be able to read both. Here is where it gets genuinely strange, and this is the part most people, even people who like birds, have never heard. For years, researchers assumed birds had something like an internal compass needle, a tiny magnetized structure somewhere in the body that physically aligned itself with the field, the way a ship's compass does. Some studies did find iron-rich cells in places like the upper beak, and for a while that seemed like the answer. But the leading theory now, supported by research out of Oxford and the University of Oldenburg, points somewhere much stranger. The bird's eye itself. Inside the retina of many migratory birds, there is a light-sensitive protein called cryptochrome. When light hits this protein, it triggers a chemical reaction that produces what is known as a radical pair. Two molecules with unpaired electrons, existing for a fraction of a second in a delicate, magnetically sensitive state. Earth's magnetic field, weak as it is, can influence how that reaction unfolds. And the leading hypothesis is that birds may actually see the magnetic field as part of their visual world. not as a separate sense layered on top of sight, the way you might feel temperature on your skin while your eyes look at something else, but woven directly into vision itself. Sit with that for a second. A migratory bird, looking at the sky on a clear night, may be looking at a faint pattern or shading laid across its visual field, like a kind of light or shadow that simply is not there for anything without that protein in its eye. It is not using its eyes and a separate compass. Its eyes may be the compass. What this means for the bird crossing the sky above your house tonight is that direction is not something it has to work out. It does not pause mid-flight to calculate. The information is simply there, sitting in its field of view the same way the shape of a tree or the outline of a cloud is there for you, immediate and unasked for. You have to consult a map. It is not. The map may be printed directly onto the world it sees. There is a detail in this research that tends to stop people when they hear it for the first time. This magnetic sense appears to depend on light, specifically blue light, to function properly. Studies on European robins, conducted by researchers including those at the University of Oldenburg, found that robins kept in darkness or under red light lost their ability to orient correctly, while robins under blue light oriented just fine. Which means this entire sense, this entire invisible channel of information, may only switch on under the right lighting conditions, flickering in and out of a bird's perception depending on something as simple as the color of the sky. Pay attention to this one, because it reframes something you have probably seen without realizing what it was. You have likely watched a bird tilt its head at an angle that seemed almost theatrical, almost performative, like it was posing. Some researchers believe this head tilting in certain species may be the bird actively aligning its eye, and therefore its magnetic sense, with the field, the way you might tilt a phone to get better signal. What looked like idle curiosity may have been calibration. Think about how many times you have seen that tilt and assumed it was nothing. A crow on a fence post, cocking its head at you like it is puzzled. A chickadee doing the same thing at a feeder half a second before it picks a seed. You filed it under personality. Under cuteness, it may have been the bird quietly checking its bearings, the same unconscious motion you make when you glance at a clock without thinking about it. Now here is the part that turns this from a fact about birds into a question about you. For a long time, scientists assumed magnetoreception was something birds had, and humans simply did not. A clean biological line between them and us, no different from the line between creatures with echolocation and those without it. But research published in recent years, including work from the University of Massachusetts and replicated in labs elsewhere, has found something unsettling. Human cells, grown in a lab and engineered to contain a human version of the cryptochrome protein, showed a response to magnetic fields. The protein itself, the same family of molecules sitting in a bird's retina right now, exists in the human eye too. This does not mean you have a working magnetic compass behind your eyes. The studies are careful, contested, and far from settled, and no one is claiming people can navigate by magnetism the way a warbler can. But it raises a real, scientifically serious possibility. The raw biological hardware for this sense may still be sitting inside you, inherited from a distant common ancestor, simply switched off, or too faint to ever rise into conscious awareness. Not absent, dormant. Some researchers have tried to push further. A handful of controversial studies, including ones examining changes in human brainwave activity in response to magnetic field shifts, have suggested faint, unconscious responses in some test subjects, though the results have not been consistently replicated, and most scientists in the field treat them with real caution. The honest answer is that nobody knows for certain whether anything in you still responds to this. But the protein is there. The hardware, or some echo of it, is there. What is missing is the wiring that would ever let you notice. What this means for the bird outside your window right now is this. It is not gifted with something fundamentally foreign to your biology. It is running a program your own cells may still contain a buried copy of, fully active, fully online, integrated so completely into its vision that scientists are still working out where sight ends and magnetic sense begins. There is something worth sitting with in that. You and the sparrow on your fence may be built from closer material than it looks. The difference is not that it has a sense you lack entirely. The difference may be that evolution kept the light on for one of you and let it go dark for the other. This is the part I promised you at the start. The structure responsible for all of this, the radical pair reaction inside the cryptochrome protein, operates on a scale of physics normally reserved for laboratory equipment, kept at near absolute zero temperatures, shielded from any outside interference. Quantum effects, the kind of thing usually discussed in the context of supercomputers and particle accelerators, appear to be happening at body temperature, in real time, inside the eye of a bird perched on a telephone wire above a suburban street. Researchers studying this have called it one of the only confirmed examples of quantum mechanics playing a functional role in the living biological process. Not in a science fiction sense, in a documented, peer-reviewed, still being mapped out sense. So look again at the bird outside your house. It is not simply resting there. Somewhere behind its eye, a molecule is absorbing light, generating a pair of fleeting, magnetically sensitive particles, and translating the faint pull of a magnetic field generated thousands of miles beneath your feet into a felt sense of direction. It has been doing this its entire life. It will do it again tonight, if it migrates, navigating a route it has never flown, using a sense it did not have to learn, reading a force that is moving through you right now without your knowledge. What you were looking at, every time you watched a bird disappear over the tree line, in autumn and assumed it simply knew the way, was never just memory. It was perception, a sense reading a world that has been sitting on top of yours the entire time, invisible, indifferent, to whether you ever notice it. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever watched a flock of birds suddenly change direction all at once, like they were responding to something you could not see or hear? I want to know what it looked like. I read every one. I will see you in the next one. See you in the next one.